Welcome. Small Things Forgotten is a small podcast about archaeology. The small parts. The people and places that even archaeologists might not remember, although once you mention it, they might recall it. Archaeology is about remembering at its most basic definition. To remember. To put the pieces back together. Hi, I'm Giovanna Frigni. I'm an archaeologist. I've worked and studied in the US and the UK and other places in the world. While my specialty is in archaeological metals and experimental archaeology, I have a fascination about the entire field, especially the small parts that are at the core of its foundation, but have been relegated to the storage rooms of our collective memories. This is an opportunity to brush off some of the dust and look at some of the fascinating people, museums, and sites that don't make the headlines, or that made the headlines so long ago that it becomes an archaeology of archaeology. Imagine that you're in a classroom and the teacher asks, "What is archaeology?" If you're not an archaeologist, your head probably swims with images of excavations, ancient Egypt, Rome, lost empires, movies, TV shows, lost treasures. Archaeologists think about those things too. But the core definition is that archaeology is the study of past human activity through the examination of material remains. That's it. It's not about treasure or finding valuable stuff. It's what things can tell us about the people who made and used them. We can use these fragments to piece together people's lives. They tell us a story of how they lived. Often we just get a glimpse of a moment. Sometimes we get an entire day. Let me give you an example. People love to ask archaeologists, what was the most valuable thing they ever found? They expect a story about hoards of gold, rare coins, or buried treasure. So I tell them a story. I was working at the site of a Roman fort called Arbea on the northeast coast of England. We were working on a road that went past the soldiers' barracks. This was a road that the Roman Emperor Septimus Severus walked on when he visited the fort. I was excavating the side of the road when I saw a change in the color of the soil that indicate a hole had been dug there. As I took off a layer, I found bits of charcoal and then whole shells from clams and mussels. 2,000 years ago, some soldiers stationed at the fort had gone down to the beach and gathered some shellfish. Then they went back to their barracks and dug a little hole next to the road near the front door. They made a fire, tossed in the shellfish, and had a bit of a clam bake. As they ate, they threw the shells back into the hole, and when it was done, they kicked some dirt over it. That was it, a story, a glimpse into the life of someone from 2,000 years ago. Not an emperor, but an ordinary person who went down to the same beach I had been to the day before and gathered some shellfish for a little meal by the side of the road near his quarters. That story to me was more valuable than a gold coin. It was a brief connection with someone 2,000 years before me, a fragment of a story from someone's life that became a part of my life. The author, Jonathan Carroll, once wrote, "Like any other things in the world, most of us will just become stories, and those stories made us." In the coming episodes, I'll talk about various topics in archaeology, important archaeologists you never heard of, small but significant museums, some of the debates in archaeology. These will all be short vignettes, a jumping-off point, some pieces that can be put together, some people and things that should be remembered. This podcast is produced without ads, and the only sponsors are those wonderful people who contribute to my Patreon. If you enjoy this podcast and would like to support it, check out patreon.com/archaeology. Even $1 or $2 a month will help keep this podcast going. I also have a website, Ancient Tools and Craft. It's a site about experimental archaeology. It's about how people made things and the tools they used to make them. Thanks for listening. Now go out and have some fun.